to the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. We are your hosts. I am TJ Kern. That is Blake Hartsfield. Blake, big time show today. Big time show. Not only do we have a football victory pod, we've got some hoops to get into as well. Blake, I just got back from Lubbock this week. I know we're recording a little bit later in the week, but man, let me tell you, that was my first football game in quite a while. And boy, was it exciting to be there. Wish the game time would have been 2:30-ish, so I could have at least had a couple beverages, but hey, 11 a.m. it was what it was. And man, game day being there was just too cool. I mean, before the thing even starts, McAfee's shirtless, yelling Raider power. I mean, they said it was the best morning crowd that they had all year. I mean, the pictures that have come out of
it looked great.
I don't know what it was like on TV. You'll have to fill me in on that, man. But just being back in LBK just gives me a sense of pride, being a Red Raider. And, we both go through life, and we all go through life. And sometimes you forget what being a Red Raider means. And then you get back into that town, and it's just everything's shut down. Everything's all about the football team. Everything's about College Game Day. And I just love the national, before we get into the actual game, just the way Lubbock was perceived by all these national media heads throughout the week and throughout the weekend. I thought that was really important. Of course, the facilities, everybody raved about the facilities. Everybody raved about Evie Mae's barbecue and Spanky's cheese and all the quality
Las
things.
Brisas. Don't forget Las Brisas.
I'm sure Las Brisas got a ton of big business over the weekend as well. But, man, just talk a little bit about what you saw on the TV side of Game Day, and then just all the love that the city of Lubbock and Red Raider Nation was getting.
Yeah, TJ, the aerial shots on Game Day were great. There was a very clear energy from the get-go. When they went live on air, it sounds like McAfee was pumping up the crowd beforehand, and that made me not make sense. I remember when I went to Game Day in 2008 that, they interact with the crowd before they roll on the cameras. It was very complimentary of Lubbock, both on Game Day, very complimentary, and on the broadcast. Very complimentary of Tech, both on Game Day and on the broadcast. So you couldn't ask for more as a Red Raider in terms of building the brand of the school. I've seen Herb Street and McAfee and everybody have all said, look, this crowd was legit. Texas Tech is legit as a football team. They are crazy about about Texas Tech down in Lubbock. And it was great for the university, for the program, to be in the national spotlight. And I thought Red Raider Nation answered that, from Game Day through the energy in the crowd during the game. And then most importantly, the team showed up and played well, which is, they didn't get lost in all of the hype for the game, all of the pageantry going on around them, right? They were able to, McGuire was obviously on Game Day, but he was able to get the guys focused, and they came out and they played a great football game.
Yeah, we're going to get into that football game, but first I need to shout out Coach Kenny Perry, the special teams coach and associate head coach. He actually coached me back in 1999, Blake. It was my freshman year of high school, and he was one of the coaches in the baseball program at Arlington Lamar High School at the time. And we go that far back together, and it was so great to me. I mean, he easily could have been like, not this week, TJ. It's a busy week. All I had to do was let him know I was coming into town, and he immediately let me know, hey, call me in the morning and you can come take a look at this facility. So I got to go in and see the Womble football facility with our guy Michael from the Nation. Man, shout out to Michael as well for letting me stay at his house. And shout out to my buddy Kyle for helping me get tickets, man. It's nice when you know people, Blake.
It is.
So that football
facility,
facility,
awesome. Is it as great as it looks in all the videos?
Yes, and then some.
Yeah,
it is phenomenal. Cool. Like, now our tour was really, really quick, but I do feel like we got to see most of it. I mean, they had a lot going on, but just being in that building, being in the lot, getting to see the locker room and the cold tubs and the training staff and the weight room and just the meeting rooms, right? Like, I mean, just it was top notch
Every bell and
from
whistle.
yeah, every single bell and whistle, man. I was very impressed. I took a lot of pictures. The indoor practice facility, I got to take a picture with my coach, Coach Perry, and again, just want to thank him. And man, Blake, then Saturday comes along, and boy, the energy in that stadium. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes, man. Just reminding me how special it is to be a part of that community, to be a part of Red Raider Nation. And then I got to give the students a big shout out, man. They were in their seats probably over an hour before the game, waving the towels, making a bunch of noise. Grant McCaslin's on the mic. Hey, this is BYU. I know we've got a chance, but like, let's keep it classy, all that good stuff. The basketball team got a big win the night before. Of course, we're gonna touch base on what happened at Illinois. Flashbacks to the early 2000s, Mavs Kings series. Last name Stojakovic. If you know, you know. And if you watch that game, but Blake, let's get into the football game itself because, like you said, I mean, BYU came in undefeated. Spread came out. It was 10 and a half, immediately went up to 11 and a half. And you said on this very program,
Wasn't enough.
wasn't enough. Said, I think it needs to be about 13 or 14. And lo and behold, Blake.
Closed at 13 and a half, TJ.
Yeah. Lo and behold, the Red Raiders come out hot and really dominated this game, Blake. I mean,
should have been worse.
From start to finish, it definitely should have been worse. And I want to get into the offense and some things with you first. But how can we talk about this game and not talk about Jacob Rodriguez and this defense?
He needs to be in New York, TJ. Bottom line, I mean, RG3's leading that bus nationally, right? He's driving, conducting that train, and Jacob deserves to be in New York. If Manti Te'o can, I think he was the runner-up in 2012. With worse numbers than what Jacob's got, like he needs to be in New York. TJ, this defense, I'm running out of good things to say about them.
By the way, I did run into Mrs. Rodriguez. I didn't bother her as she could probably beat me up in a hurry if I bothered her.
For sure.
But yeah, she definitely walked right by me and with the family. They all had their Rodriguez jerseys on. And, after seeing her on TV all season long, it was kind of cool to kind of be in the same vicinity as the Army Black Hawk helicopter pilot herself. So that was kind of cool for me.
Well, and if you're going to compare it to Te'o, they talk about the great linebacker with a love interest, right? His wife is real. We can see her, unlike the girlfriend. No, Jacob deserves it. TJ, I'm running out of superlatives for this defense. They can control football games. It's just the bottom line. They can. BYU came in as a good running team. They were averaging well over 100, and I think it was 170 a game on the ground. This defense holds them to, I believe it was like 60 something. Let me look at
it was
team.
less than 67,
67 yards rushing. They totally, and most of that, an overall majority of that came on the first drive where they got 2 or 3 first downs running the ball for 12-yard gains, and then the defense made a quick adjustment. And TJ, the stat that jumped off the screen late in the second half was they showed that they flashed a graphic of plays run in the opponent's territory, and it was like 39 to 6, right? BYU only had like 6 plays inside of Tech territory. Defense dominates the game. Offense was slow to start, and then they had a good drive, but felt like that they left some meat on the bone for sure. But just as a whole, TJ, the game. This is one of the 3
How
or 4.
did it look on TV, and what was it like to have Fowler and Herbstreit calling a Texas Tech game?
They were. I mean, it was great. The stadium looked good, striped. It was loud. You could hear it. It was palpable. You could feel the energy off the screen. And just from that to how the team performed to the result, I mean, this is up there with the 08 Texas beating Texas 2 years ago in McGuire's final home game, or in the Tech's final home game against UT. with them in the Big 12. I mean, this is a top 3 or 4 moment in the history of the program, in my opinion. I mean, this was big time, and credit all around to the team.
And then, of course, Mahomes in the building, right, wearing the Mahomes jerseys. I thought that was super cool. Um, they showed him briefly, because we were in college game day, and then I was like, man, let's get into the stadium because the last hour of game day is going to be in the stadium. Well, I thought it was going to be shown kind of more on the scoreboard there, but they did say if you've watched, there's a really cool 14-minute video that SVP and Stanford Steve did talking
I've
about
seen it.
Lubbock. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's if Red Raider Nation, if you have not seen this, go look it up. Stanford Steve and SVP talking about Lubbock. Stanford Steve was very complimentary of just the facilities, the town, Texas Tech. I mean, it's really good PR for the program.
Yeah, and he talked to Pat, and Pat was like, "This is what we wanted. This is what we dreamed of, right? Like this is. I'm so jealous, right?" And in that video, those two were like, "Think about that. Probably a guy on GOAT trajectory in the NFL, multiple MVPs, multiple Super Bowls on a football field saying he's jealous." But we're both wearing our Chiefs gear tonight. So and that was not planned, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
I wear it all the time. I mean, I've got all kinds of
Yeah.
Chiefs gear now. So
Yeah. So I mean, anyway, to be able to do that in front of Pat, I heard Danny Amendola was there. But look, this is a program to be proud of now.
yes.
And we deserve this as alums and as fans and as people that have
TJ,
gone
we
through.
spent 12 years in the wilderness. I mean, from when
Yeah.
Leach left to just the last couple of years with McGuire, the program was one of the worst Power 4, Power 5 programs in the country, depending on the year. If it was 4 or 5 conferences, like it was a long time coming.
Yeah, and Josh Pate, who is also a big name in the college football world, him and his wife said that this was their favorite
Yep.
trip as well. So a lot of positive publicity for the city of Lubbock, for the citizens of Lubbock, for the students of Tech. Like I'm gushing over here, Blake, at just how well everything worked out over the weekend. But there's a name I want to highlight on that defense. I know we talk about height, we talk about David Bailey, right? We talk about J-Rod, obviously, but Cole Wisniewski is not getting talked about enough. The safety who transferred in from North Dakota State, this guy laid the wood all day long. And Bear tried to do that jump on the sideline, the quarterback for BYU, and he just got leveled
Yeah.
down to the ground by the safety Wisniewski. And it's a fun thing to watch. And in the stadium, I mean, again, I hadn't been to a game since I was a student. Man, the energy on third down, every third down. And shout out to Casey Cowan, an old buddy of mine, is actually the PA announcer now. We used to work together in radio, and now all of a sudden he's the PA announcer saying "Red Raider first down." So that was really weird for me, but I'm happy for him. The energy in that place was just rocking every time the defense was on the field. And we really wanted the shutout, Blake. I don't know how bad on TV, yeah, but they did score. BYU did find a way to score in the second half. They found 4 or 5 pass plays in a row and went down and scored. But Blake,
We stopped playing on that drive, TJ.
was it?
We
Is
played
that
a
what
shell.
happened?
We had some backups in there. We were playing a really soft shell, basically a don't let anything go over the top kind of defense. And they were and then the next drive that they were like, nope, this is over. They're not scoring again.
Because I'm in the stands, so I'm watching the game, but I'm not blackout drunk, but I'm blackout like just from being there, right? Like I
Sure.
can't remember every single play, and the J Rod interception obviously is one that stands out. Hell of a play by him getting that interception, and then man taking the Cougars scoreless into halftime. But Blake,
Well into the fourth quarter before they
yeah,
scored. They scored with 6 minutes left in the game.
yeah, so I mean we've talked about the defense a little bit. I do want to talk about that meat that was left on the bone. Stone Harrington, um, kicked, what was it, 5 field goals
Yep.
in that game, or this thing is a 40-7 route.
TJ, it's the same issues with the offense that we've seen all year long. They drive the ball great all the way down the field, and then in the red zone, for a combination of play calling and just bad decisions and drops and penalties, like you name it, and they can't get out of their own way in the red zone to score touchdowns. And it hasn't mattered in the Big 12 because again, the only game they lost, I don't. The committee clearly doesn't put a lot of stock in it. They've said that publicly. I don't put a lot of stock in it. It hasn't mattered. They've been able to beat everybody in this conference convincingly without being able to score touchdowns. But TJ, it's gonna matter, right? If they want to get to where they want to go, which is win the Big 12 and then start not just, oh, hey, we're here, we're in the playoff, woohoo, which, hey, that's great, right? And I think it would be mission accomplished and it gets momentum rolling. And I think this game really, as I said in the podcast last week, that you have an opportunity to basically tell the Big 12 there's a new sheriff in town. And they've done that now with how they manhandled Utah and then manhandled BYU. They are the new superpower in this conference in football. But if you don't want to just show up to the playoff, which again, great first step, but if you want to advance in the playoffs and win a couple of games, you got to score touchdowns against better teams. When they run into, the A&Ms and the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Ole Misses of the world, right? Teams
Dare
that
I
can,
say, dare I say that team in Austin that we don't like?
they're not going to get that. They might get there, but I hope that I think that ends on Saturday in Athens. Frankly, I think they're going to get beat by Georgia. They're going to have 3 losses and they're going to be done. Even if they beat the Aggies the last game of the year. But yes, the school in Austin could play their way in, and I mean, I guess the ultimate, if you don't get a first round bye, I guess the ultimate dream would get to play Texas in Lubbock. But
I'll get
I'm
into
not
that in
going
a
to get too far
second.
into that. But no,
Yeah.
they've got to score touchdowns, TJ. It's like I said, it's bad play calling. It is um, drops, penalties. Like on the drive, a perfect example of it's the drive at the end of the first half where they're going in and Coy Eakin drops a wide open touchdown that hits him in the hands on third down. Instead of taking the points, which I thought McGuire probably should have done, but I won't kill him for it because his thought process was, hey, I've
We
got a
get the
defense
ball.
that's completely controlling the game. If I score a touchdown here, the game's over. So he went for the win, and I'm okay with that. Would have rather taken the points, but on fourth down, Terrence Carter hasn't dropped it. I mean, I know he got hit, but he got hit after the ball hit him in the hands. Like he could have caught the football. So drops, penalties, bad play call. Like there was a drive in the third quarter where they got into there, and the play calling just I don't know what Mac Leftwich was doing on that drive where he called like he called a zone read where he put Barron out on the edge, and that didn't go anywhere, and then they called a reverse. It was terrible, TJ. I mean, it just figure out a way. They've got to figure this out. We talked about it in the Houston game. We've talked about it all year long. Score touchdowns when you get in the red zone.
Yeah, one of the things in football that I've always hung my hat on is you kick enough field goals, you're going to get beat,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you got to get in the end zone somehow. The Red Raiders did lean on their dominant defense, and they were able to kick enough field goals to let it happen. But let's go back to the end of the first half because I was all about putting your foot on their throats and going in 20-0.
I get it. I would have personally. I think
I
that
see both sides, but
yeah.
I
I
want to
think
see
with
what you
getting
thought.
the ball. So here's the thing there, right? If BYU were going to get the ball to come out of the half and you're in that position, go for it, right? Because if you score, the game's over. I think with you having the ball, right? You're getting the ball coming out of the half. I think I take the points and then try to get points again in the game. You still get to the same spot and you give them no momentum, right? Because they didn't get it, and I mean, it didn't end up mattering because BYU couldn't do anything on offense. But Kalani Stataki's all fired up, and he's running into the locker room, and you've breathed some life into a team that you've had your throat on it. Where if you get points, they've got nothing to be excited about. You feel like a boa constrictor just taking the air out of them. But again, it hasn't mattered, TJ. They've stuck to the same formula, if you will, in the Big 12. They're like a heavyweight fighter who knows that he's the better fighter, right? Where it's just like, hey, I'm gonna live right here. I'm not gonna do anything fancy. We're gonna be very direct. I'm just going to keep leaning on them and leaning on this guy, and they're going to break. And that's what's happened in every Big 12 game is they've leaned on him with their defensive line. They've leaned on him with the offensive line and the running game, and teams are breaking in the second half. And that formula is great, again, in the Big 12. But when you get in, you're not going to be able to lean on A&M for 4 quarters and A&M break. They might, but it's a lot less likely because that's a team that's got the athletes to match you. You're not going to be able to lean on Ohio State. At some point, you've got to start scoring touchdowns and putting teams away. This offense is good enough. They are capable. They can throw it. They can run it. But they've got to figure it out, and they've got to start scoring touchdowns.
And Cameron Dickey, speaking of running it, Cameron Dickey with another huge game on Saturday. I believe you've got the box score up. I believe it was 120 something yards on the ground for Cameron Dickey. Jacoby
23
Williams,
for 121 and a tut.
yeah, and Jacoby Williams also had a nice game with a couple plays out of the backfield and running the
Yep.
ball. So, I mean, look, we're moving the ball on the ground. We've got a defense. Baron Morton has got to stop taking these sacks.
Yeah, the sacks are
The
a problem.
sacks they've been a problem, but they are. I know he's gutting it out. I know he's playing through pain. I know it's a pain tolerance thing. I did not know it was like a broken femur.
Fibula. I don't know. That report hasn't yet been confirmed by McGuire. He said there's something with it, but he thinks it's more of a muscle problem. I don't know what it is. Regardless of if it's
Obviously
a
not
hairline,
himself.
yeah, regardless if it's a hairline fracture or it's a muscle problem or whatever, he's not 100%. He's probably like 70% at best. He's gutting it out. He's still playing well, but the sacks are a problem. He just needs to give
Got
up,
to throw the
give it
ball
up.
away, Blake.
Yeah, just give up on the play, throw it away. I think part of it, TJ, and it's McGuire talked about it in his press conference. It's hard to coach that out of a guy who, for the last 3 years when he's been in games, he hasn't had a defense and the talent around him where he's had to kind of just make plays for this team to win or have a chance to win. And it's hard to break that habit, but he's got to learn to throw the ball away. He cannot continue to take those sacks against bigger teams. They almost cost him going out of field goal range after the muff punt at the beginning of the game. But hey, at the end of the day, the offense ends up scoring 29, which is a fine number. I think it should have been a 40 burger, but that's just me. The defense dominates. They get a resounding 29-7 win. The committee was impressed. They jumped them up ahead of Ole Miss. They're number 6 now. They are in a position to potentially get to the 5 seed, where if you get to the 5 seed, you get the group of 5 champion in Lubbock. So you'd get South Florida or Memphis, whoever. That's an easier game. You'd be a 3-touchdown favorite. I still think there's a chance, depending on some of the results of these games, they could sneak into the top 4 and get a bye, which for Barron's health would be amazing, right? You get a full extra 3 weeks off after the Big 12 championship game. And frankly, they should be able to take care of business against UCF and West Virginia in the first half and get enough of a lead where they can kind of get Morton out of the game, right? Go get his leg up and get Mitch Griffs in there. But credit to the team, credit to McGuire, credit to this coaching staff, credit to these players. Signature win, dominated BYU. Can't ask for anything more than that. They focused on the game, they ignored the pageantry, and they dominated the football game. They're in the driver's seat in the Big 12. I mean, you can't say enough about what they've been able to accomplish.
Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. Red Raiders win. Victory pod 29-7 over BYU. I was in the building. I was very impressed with just everything. The production, the play on the field, all of it. Just being there made me very proud to host this podcast. It made me proud to be a Red Raider. I'm super excited. I need more. And Blake, we're going to get more this week. And actually, you're going to be out in the LBK. I know you're excited about that for Central Florida. And I know we're going to let Vegas Blake talk about that here in a little bit, but they opened as 24-point favorites, Blake. So
that's a big line. That's a big number.
And here's my thing, right? And I'm going to go on a little tangent here. I think that this season we both had them with one loss and making it to Arlington, right? We did our preview show. You can go back and watch it here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. Now, I had us losing a different game than Blake had us losing, but whatever. At this point in the season, we both had us with one loss, and we both had us eventually making it to Arlington. Blake, I'm going to say something that I don't want to look too far ahead. I'm trying not to drink more Kool-Aid than necessary. But Blake, you have to beat Central Florida at home. Cannot have a typical Tech game, and I want to get rid of the typical Tech language altogether. But until they give me a reason to not do that, it's still on the table. So we've got to go out and dominate UCF this weekend. And then, Blake, that game in Morgantown's always been a tricky place for the Red Raiders.
They
But
stink,
but
TJ.
let's assume here, and it's a dangerous thing when you assume that the Red Raiders get through these next two games and punch their ticket to Arlington. There's a lot of chaos as to who they could play. Could it be BYU? Could it be Utah? Could it be Cincinnati? We don't know at this point. But look, if you would have told us at the beginning of the year, we both had them one loss making it to Arlington. Now, I think anything less than a Big 12 championship would be a disappointment.
Who do you want to play out of curiosity, TJ?
I kind of would like to play Cincinnati just because we don't get to play Cincinnati very often. I don't think a BYU rematch would be very fun. And if we get to play Utah again, I mean, whatever. No, you're shaking your head. Who do you want to play?
I mean, they have a chance. It's got to be a 4-way tie for them to get. I want to play
Houston.
Arizona State again. That's who I
Okay.
want in Arlington. I want to prove that was a fluke, that they beat us without our quarterback on a last-second play. They don't have Levitt, TJ. Without Levitt, and I said that with Barron, even if Levitt played, we would win by 17 in Arlington with home field and revenge. Like, it would be worse, TJ. We would beat them by 30 points with their backup quarterback.
And so you brought it up too. So, okay, we're going to hypothetically, which is dangerous, hypothetically say that we win the next 3 games and we win the Big 12. You're already sitting there at 6. So, a first round home playoff game against some of the mocks. Now, I'm just going off some of the mocks here. Have us playing the Longhorns in a home playoff game scenario.
That scenario becomes real if Georgia wins out and Alabama doesn't lose to Oklahoma tomorrow, and you end up kind of getting pigeonholed into the 6. Now, I still think even if Georgia wins out, I don't know if the committee will do it, but I think with the extra data point and being a conference champion, you might jump up to the 5 and still get the group of 5 team. But if you end up as the 6 seed, even if Georgia beats Texas, if they beat A&M, the committee seems to want the Longhorns in the playoffs for whatever reason. If they get in with 3 losses, they would be the 11. You're playing them in Lubbock.
And here's my thing with that. I want no part of Texas, not because I'm scared of Texas. I just don't want any kind of really good game where Tech loses a close one or whatever the situation is where we lose, and all this momentum that we've built all year is you're still little brother, you're still Texas Tech, blah blah blah. Like I'd rather not play them. Now the matchup that the committee has out there this week is very interesting to me and my family because I grew up a huge Miami Hurricane fan. Carson Beck and
I don't
University
get
of
that.
Miami
I don't
coming to
get that at
Lubbock.
all because they're not even going to play in the ACC championship game. They're
Yeah.
not. I mean, like they've got to have a ton of help to even get there. So I think that's just the media being lazy, and they're the highest ranked ACC team, but they're not going to be in the ACC championship game. They're just. I mean, unless
So
a
no,
series of events
they have 2
happens.
ACC losses.
Yeah.
So they're talking about them making it in without being even playing in that game. So let's talk about a little bit, Blake, here on the Scarlet and Blake Nation podcast before we get to basketball. The playoff scenario as a whole, and what your thoughts are on the fact that BYU dropped to 12 right there in front of Utah.
Where they
So
should be. They beat Utah.
they beaten Utah head to head. So, but they take it on the chin. And so what are your thoughts on the possibility of the Big 12 still only having one team make the playoff?
I think it's more likely than not the Big 12 is going to get 2 at the end of the day. I think if BYU wins out and then plays us in the Big 12 championship game, we beat them again. I don't know how you drop them out. They've already set the precedent where a team that's on the bubble, that's on the right side of the bubble, And they will be back inside the field when either Texas or Oklahoma loses on Saturday, because I think one of them is going to lose. Oklahoma's in Tuscaloosa, Texas is in Athens. I don't think they're moving them out if they lose that, because they set that precedent with SMU last year. But even if they did, Utah's right there to jump in as an at-large that doesn't even get to the Big 12 championship game. So I think it's more likely than not. But even if they only get one, I mean, we're the team that's going to carry the conference flag. So I think if you take care of business, I'd love to find a way to get to the 4 and get a bye. I think it's more likely you're the 5 or the 6. I think of those two, I'd rather be the 5, because you get the group of 5 team and you're going to be a 3-touchdown favorite at home. The 6, you're in a much more competitive situation. You're going to be a favorite against whoever the 11 is, but it's a much more competitive situation. It'll be less than a touchdown against whoever it is. But yeah, I mean, that's where they're at. We'll see kind of how this all shakes out. There's a lot of important games between now and the end of the year. So it'll kind of, I'm of the opinion it'll kind of work itself out and take care of itself. We just need to win our next 2 games and get to Arlington and not have to sweat it.
I agree here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. But Blake, let's put football in the rear view for now. Let's get on to this basketball team who is now 2-1 on the season. They played a very tough Illinois team on the road, which is what we wanted. We wanted a tougher non-con, and they went to Champaign and played a very tough game. It was last night, 2 nights ago.
Tuesday night. Tuesday night. 2 nights ago.
As we record, this is Thursday. I know my week's running together, but anyway, it was a very tough game. JT Toppin is that dude still.
Best player in college basketball, DJ. He is the best player in college basketball, period.
Yeah. And Lawan Watts had a really good game, showed you what he's capable of doing. Blake, but
my guy.
Yeah, that's your guy. I have a few concerns, and I want to bring them up to you. I'm not going to overreact too much. First thing, Peja Stojakovic's kid looked just like Peja Stojakovic out there. He looked like
I think he's got way more game than his dad ever had. I mean, his dad was a great shooter, but he can create his own shot. His dad could never do that. He's got way more game than his dad ever had.
Well, it was just giving me flashbacks to those Kings Mavs series in the early 2000s. You know, those were very good competitive games, and I hated those Kings, boy. And Peja was on those Kings, and I'm sitting here watching a Tuesday night. It's our 3rd basketball game overall, and I'm sitting here acting like it's March. Oh man, I was really pumped, and the fact that we had the turnover battle, and we aren't refs, guys. We did have some turnovers. We aren't ref guys here on this show, but Blake, the fouls called and the free throw discrepancy was dramatic on Tuesday.
PJ, they got worked by Big Ten officials on a Big Ten road game. We get a return game against them in Lubbock next year, which I'm sure our officials will do them the same solid that theirs did for us. TJ, the free throw count tells the story of this game. I know, refs guys or not, when one team shoots 23 free throws and the other team shoots 4, 2 of which came on admittedly a pretty bad flagrant 1 call at the end of the game that gave the Red Raiders a chance. So they, up to that flagrant 1 call, they had shot 2 free throws in the entire game. So despite all that, the total foul count was 18-8 in Illinois' favor. Despite the fact that the refs worked you, they lived at the free throw line. They had 16 makes, so they had 4 times as many free throws made as you got to take.
And let's be clear, the Red Raiders, both teams were shorthanded.
Yes, both teams were shorthanded, so I don't put a lot of stock in short, but it's your first road game. They had some turnover issues being on a first road game. They're still trying to gel as a team. TJ, they didn't shoot the ball particularly well. They were 6 of 22 from 3, so under 30%, 27. They're not going to shoot it that bad most nights. And despite the refs, the bad shooting, the turnovers, and trying to gel on, and your first real game being a road game, playing a very good Illinois team, like a very good Illinois team. They had the ball down 3 with a chance to get to tie the game with 10 seconds to go. And then, Stojakovic made a good play and blocked, Anderson beat him on the move. And then Stojakovic recovered well to block the shot and the game was over. I don't put a lot of stock in this game, TJ, frankly. I mean, it kind of is what it is. I think that, again, I can't get past this, the 16 free throws made, 23 attempted, to 4 attempted. I mean, that's just, that kind of discrepancy is not common unless you're playing in Lawrence, Kansas, in which case you can expect
Well,
that.
and JT
Um,
Toppin, I believe the game before against Sam Houston was fouled by himself 14 times.
I know I've seen Illinois fans online. Oh, we were more physical. We played. No, you didn't play more inside. Tech played more inside. JT Toppin scored at will against your defense. Which, by the way, TJ, I said it a second. He is the best player in college basketball. Enjoy this, fellas, because he's going to have a special, special season. I called it before the season started. I'm going to stand by my pick. Naismith Player of the Year. Period. Get your futures in now while you're getting still good odds on it. But Naismith Player of the Year. It will happen if he stays healthy.
So one of the things that I want to have a conversation here. I want to have an overreaction conversation, and it involves Christian Anderson. Okay. Last year's team had a guy by the name of Elijah Hawkins to run the point. Christian Anderson got a ton of minutes playing off the ball. And Elijah Hawkins was able to run the offense and get Christian Anderson the ball in certain spots where he could either catch and shoot or he could drive, on a mismatch on the weak side. A lot of different ways for Christian Anderson to find his spot and get off his shot. This year, he's playing the point, more of a true point. Jalen Petty, the freshman, is getting a little bit of run here. But Christian struggled to find his shot, struggled to even take his shot. I thought he was very passive. Again, it's the third game. I'm not worried about Christian Anderson.
Well, and the guy that was guarding him, TJ, is probably one of, if not one of the top 5 perimeter defenders in the country. I mean, that guy's a load for Illinois. But I mean, he had 11 assists, 3 turnovers. That's pretty good in your
Ratio.
first game against a real team that's the point guard. TJ, he was phenomenal. I don't know if you watched any of the European championships over the summer when he was playing for
Yes.
Germany, but he was phenomenal as a point guard there. At the end of the day, he struggled with the shot, but how many times is he going to go 0 for 6 from 3? I mean, he got good looks. So it's an off night. Chalk it up to that. I'm not worried about Christian Anderson. Christian Anderson is going to be fine.
Well,
Again, I love the
it's
11
not
assists.
necessarily, my concern is not necessarily Christian Anderson. It's the roster construction of, is Jalen Petty going to be good enough to allow Christian Anderson to go and get his own shot, whenever he needs it, playing a little bit off the ball like he did last year with Elijah Hawkins.
I think they want.
I think Christian Anderson is more of a combo guard than he is a true point guard.
I think his future is as a point guard if he's going to make the league, and I think he knows that. I think his best position is point guard. I understand he was great off the ball last year, but I am not worried about Christian Anderson. As far as the roster construction, I think it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. Again, they didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but TJ, get used to seeing 2 actions here because these are the 2 actions you're going to see. Pick and roll with JT and Christian Anderson, and then straight up post-ups to JT. And if they double, he's going to kick it out to find a shooter. Pick and roll, they're going to look for JT rolling. If they cheat, they're going to find the shooter.
And again, not to overreact.
You got 2 guys, and you got snipers all around them on the rest of the floor. So I think the roster construction is pretty damn good.
So I came out and said that I thought maybe one of the underlying stories of the football season was the Will Hammond situation and would he be our guy next year and his development and blah, blah, blah. I think, as I've watched all 3 games, Jalen Petty and the Groves kid from Minnesota, if they are going to be true rotation players, they're going to have to get their feet wet here in this tough non-conference.
I don't know that Groves is going to be a rotation player. I think he's kind of getting Mosley's minutes right now because they're not playing him as a ball handler. They're playing him as almost like a small forward. And he's a guard, but he's more physical than I thought he was going to be. But we'll see. I would be surprised if he's a rotation player at the end of the day.
But Jalen Petty is this team's backup point guard, is he not?
Yes.
Okay. That's what
yes,
I wanted.
He is. I think it will be some Jalen Petty, and then I think you're not going to like this, but it's going to be like a D5 situation. I think LaJon Watts is going to play. He's going to play some point forward, and he'll get the ball in his hands at times. And TJ, he looked pretty damn good. I mean,
he had a great game.
8 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 2 from 3, 4 points. Or, I'm sorry, 4 rebounds, 21 points, 2 assists. That's kind of a D5 line. I mean, and he shot the ball
He
better
looked
than
good
D5
doing it.
normally
It was
does.
very, very smooth.
Yeah,
His
he is
shot looked
he
more
is way
confident.
smooth. As I said when they signed him, TJ, I said it's not going to be as much booty ball when you got with D5. He's just a technician. He's very smooth.
So, again, I'm not trying to overreact. It was a tough ranked team on the road. Just a couple of my observations there to pick up, Blake's thoughts there on
This
this
team's going to be
basketball
fine.
team. So,
I'm not worried about that game in the least. And I think if we played Illinois again in the tournament with our shot blocker and the anchor of this defense, um, it's a different game. And they're not going to, shoot. They're not going to make 4 times the amount of free throws that you attempted. And I keep coming back to that because, I mean, the reality of it is that was the difference in the game.
no doubt about it. Here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast, it was fun to kind of have a March level game here
No,
in November.
they're going to have several of those. I mean, they play Wake Forest, who took Michigan to overtime on the road, so that's a good game. If they beat that, they beat them. They get Purdue. They got Duke. They got LSU. They got Arkansas. Like, there's a lot of good games coming up.
So a lot of fun here in Red Raider Nation on the hoop side. And then, of course, we know what's at stake here on the football side, right here at the Scarlet Black Nation podcast. Blake, any thoughts before we head out and you go up to Lubbock in the morning, man?
Do not bet this UCF game.
Well, yeah,
Vegas Blake
let's
is
go to Vegas, Blake, with the 24 and a half
well.
point spread.
We went 2-3 last week, and I don't know if you saw the terrible beat we took in the Houston Jaguars game, but the Texans Jaguars. But I gave you the Jaguars -1 or +1. They had a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, TJ, and managed to blow that game. And even the fact that they blew the lead, they were down 1. You were getting a point and a half. On the last play of the game, it was just the the pick six going the other direction on a fumble pick thing with Lawrence and trying to throw the Hail Mary and it gets run in the end zone. I'm kind of going, that's got to be like SVP bad beats segment on the week because you're up 20, you're getting a point and a half, and they blow the 20-point lead. They're down 1. You're still covering until you get the play on the last play of the game in garbage time. So we went 2-3. I don't have picks prepared this week, unfortunately, TJ. I've had a tough week with both of my boys being sick, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
going out of
no.
town in the morning. So,
What is your number one thing you're looking forward to when you step foot in the 806? And not the game.
not the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like you can say like the stadium, the
So I
atmosphere.
wanna see if Evie Mays lives up to the hype, and we're eating lunch there. I think tomorrow when we all get into town. But then beyond that, I'm meeting 3 or 4 of my old fraternity brothers that were all guys that were in my wedding, and they're very close friends of mine. So being able to go out in the bars and catch up with those guys and spend some time that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most.
Well, man, enjoy it, dude. I did the drive there and back. Man, wasn't too bad for the first time in a long time. So, man, I hope you guys are safe. Enjoy the game. Cheer loud. And how do we always get out of here, man?
Wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em. We'll talk to you guys next week right here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast.